Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Thorns Home Scott selections here for Sunday, May 14th. For again today's play of the day, quick recap what happened yesterday. We had a loss in hockey with the Stars to win regulation at plus 105 on DraftKings. Wasn't really close. Dallas dominated the two previous games, and I thought that would maybe roll over into game six. Did not happen. Seattle played like a team that was facing elimination, dominated for most of the action, and Seattle won comfortably. So sweat-free loser there. Look for a winner here on Sunday. And for today's play of the day, going to pivot to the NBA. Going to look at Game 7 between the Sixers and the Celtics, taking place at around 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And for this game, I'm going to take a team total in this one. Going to take the Sixers team total under 97.5 points at minus 118 on FanDuel. Time recording of 2:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Covering why we're going to take the Sixers team total under in this game. First, is going through the actual line movement of this game. A lot of money and movement on the under. The full game total opened up at 203. Now it's down all the way to 200.5, and it's not exactly shocking since we saw a total of 181 points in Game 6. So we're expecting a rock fight in this matchup, and I do think that's warranted. But based on the line movement, I do think that this team total feels a little bit high since we might not even get either team reaching 95 in this game. But to look at Boston defensively in this series, they've been hit or miss. But a couple of the most important games in this series, Boston responded very well defensively. Starting off with the most recent game, Boston was facing elimination. They were on the road, and they gave up 86 points in that matchup en route to a win. And they also had game 2 after dropping game 1, which was basically a must-win game. And you saw Boston only allow 87 points in game 2. So you could argue the two most meaningful games for the Celtics in the series, they allowed less than 88 points, which means that when they're fully engaged, this defense can really put the clamps down, and I do think as a result, Philly's offense will struggle in these 48 minutes. But to look at another issue for Philly, it is the lack of pace. The Sixers, with Harden and Embiid at the stage in their careers, are playing really, really slow because they need to, and as a result, the Sixers have the second slowest pace in the NBA playoffs. Celtics are middle of the road. They have the eighth slowest pace, but Philly has really done whatever they can to force everything into the half court, both offensively and defensively, which has resulted in a lot of really long and really ugly possessions for both teams. So I don't expect many transition points. I think you'll see a lot of half court battle here, which will result in a lot of really ugly possessions, which once again bodes well for the under. But a big reason why I'm also going to fade Philly here is going to be Doc Rivers, who we know is a really bad big game coach in his career. In fact, Doc Rivers has lost the most game sevens of any coach in NBA history. He has lost 9 times in game 7, including each of his last 4 game 7s. And one issue in those games has been the offense because his teams have scored less than 97 points in each of the last 3 game 7s. So I don't exactly trust Philly's offense under Doc Rivers making a game plan. And I think as a result, Philly's offense will struggle throughout this game. But to go through the stars for Philly's offense, I got to go through their game 7 career numbers. So Embiid has been in 2 game 7s in his career. He had the Kawhi shot, and he also had the loss to Atlanta. And in those 2 games, he averaged 26 points per game, which is solid. However, he only shot 43.6% from the floor. Harden has been in 5 game 7s in his career, 23.8 points per game, which is still pretty good, but you remember the amount of usage he used to get in some of the previous spots he was in. So there's a lot of volume there to get to 23.8 points per game. And to touch upon that, he shot 37.4% from the floor, and he ended up shooting 22.4% from 3. So Harden also really bad efficiency-wise in Game 7s in his career. And Tobias Harris has played in 2 Game 7s, 19.5 points per game, which is very good. However, 39.4 field goal percentage and a 33.3% three percentage. So the point is, 3 of the top 4 offensive options for Philly have been really inefficient in their careers in Game 7s. And I do think that's a potential problem for the Sixers in this matchup. Of course, Maxey has a no Game 7 resume, so I had to skip him. He could have a big game. But based on the historical numbers here, it does seem like the Philly shooting percentage might be a bit underwhelming throughout this game based on what we've seen from the main veteran leaders of this team in the past. But to go through Boston's Game 7 history, they've been really good defensively. In fact, Boston has played in 5 Game 7s over the past 6 seasons, including 2 separate Game 7s last year against Milwaukee and Miami. And defensively, they have been insane in those games. So in the 5 Game 7s, they've allowed less than 97 points in each of those games, including only allowing 96 to Miami last year in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they only allowed 81 to Milwaukee in that Game 7. So Boston, when they need to bring it, historically speaking, in game seven defensively, they bring it. And I do think as a result, Boston should look pretty dialed in. I know you could argue it's a different coach. In fact, you've had a couple of coaches during that span, whether it was Udoka, whether it was Brad Stevens, for example. But the point is, a lot of the overall roster is the same in terms of players. You still have Tatum, you still have Brown, you still have Marcus Smart. Rob Williams was there last year. A lot of guys who were a big piece of this defensive identity are still on the roster, which makes me have a little bit of confidence here that Boston will be able to once again have a great defensive performance at home in game seven. And to go through some trends here, the under is 22-10 in Boston's last 32 games played on 2 days rest. So with Boston, when Boston gets extra prep time, defensively they come out swinging, and I think as a result, Philly's offense will be struggling to even reach potentially 95 in this game. You could have a rock fight. You could see another really ugly game where first to 90 wins, but 97.5 points with a full game total of 200.5 seems a little bit high to me. I'm going to take the unders. Play that once again here for Sunday, May 14th is going to be on the Sixers team total under 97.5 at minus 118 on FanDuel. Bye, everyone.